All right, so here is the full video on how to clean the Arctic Cat injectors. This is a 2008 Arctic Cat M8. It's got a ton of miles on it. Definitely needs some maintenance done to it. Started running on one cylinder, which is weird because these sleds run on 2 spark plugs in each cylinder. So I pulled the plugs, and there are 2 main ways that these injectors fail. They tend to fail either fully open or get plugged off, and so then they run lean. And as you can see by the spark plugs, one was plugged off and running lean. The other one was pretty fouled. This is after I cleaned it up. So I discovered with my old M7 that these are pretty easy to free up. All you need is a drill battery. I happen to have a Milwaukee, and some wire, then a couple of little connectors. And basically what you do is you pull your injector plugs, and you can see there's 2 little tabs right there. So that's the power wire for your injectors. The injectors get a pulse from the sled, tells it how much to inject based upon throttle position. So those injectors, if you hook that battery up to them and send them the full 18 volts, it completely opens them up and pushes all the gunk out of there because they're running at a higher rate. So it puts them into a high flow and constant flow condition that clears them out. Now, after you do this, you are going to have to reprime the fuel system, which is also done with the Milwaukee battery, wires, and connectors. So you can see the fuel pump wires, they come out of the tank there, and they run up into this connector here. So that connector, if you disconnect it and hook up your battery and run them to those wires, it will reprime the fuel system. So you're going to have to run it positive to red, negative to black, then reverse the leads, and then reverse them back. And by doing that, you can actually flush some gunk out of the Arctic power valve system that sits in the tank, or smart valve system that sits in the tank, which can hold a little bit of gunk in them and cause the sled to run bad too. So if you look in there, you can see that black line. There are actually little valves in there that sit there so it doesn't suck air into the system. So anyways, I'll set up my camera and show you how to do it. All right, as you've probably figured out, there's really not much to it. I'm gonna see if I can get my Milwaukee battery down here. So I just connected the leads into the positive and negative of the battery. And all I'm gonna do here is very carefully take these leads. I'm gonna go to the positive and negative, and you can hear that injector click. Don't know if it'll show up in the video, but you can hear it click in person. And you can hear it click. You might see a little spark like I'm seeing here. And I just like to swap these leads around just to make sure that I've flushed it both ways. And I don't know if these are polarity based. It may just be a coil that just opens them up. I'm not totally sure on that. So I don't know if you can backflow through it, but I just like to go both ways just to make sure I've cleared it out completely. Then I repeat that process on the other side. And I'll show you how to prime the fuel system here in a second. All right, so your fuel pump is going to be essentially the same thing as your injectors. The only difference being that this is polarity driven. You can see the red wire there, that's for positive. The black wire is for negative. So what you want to do is you want to run this in the positive from your battery to the positive of the fuel pump. Set up first, and that's to pressurize up the system because you just drained that line of gas when you were cleaning the injectors. Then you want to reverse it, and what that does is that pushes gas back into the tank and make sure there's no grit on your smart valves. And then after you do that, you want to run it normal again to pressure up the fuel system, and the sled should fire off. So I know that this is not technically cleaning your injectors, but what it does do is it puts it in a high flow condition for the fuel pump and the injectors, and it can basically remove a lot of grit that's built up. So I've owned a couple of these sleds, put a couple thousand miles on each one I've owned, and this has always worked for me. Fuel pumps and injectors are pretty spendy for these, and I've never had to replace one. This has always worked. So this is basically all you do. So negative there, positive there, and you'll hear the pump kick on, and you swap them around and push the gas back into the tank, and it sounds different when you do that, and go back to normal. And you're done. So the last thing I should mention is I'd recommend leaving your spark plugs out for a couple minutes, just to let some of the excess gas vapor off. I've done this out in the field, and it's never really been much of an issue. The sled just runs rich for a minute till it burns it all off. But if you're in a shop, pull your spark plugs. Just make sure you have less chance of fouling a plug. And that's it. So if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And hopefully here soon I'll be able to post some more videos of working on sleds, outboards, and vehicles.